Pixel Fold has been rumored and talked about for probably years at this point, but it's finally here. And this one is a little special. It's a little different, and it's actually one of 400 made, honoring 50 years of hip hop. Now, I'm on day 3 of using the Pixel Fold as my primary device, and it's jumped ahead of the iPhone 14 Pro Max and the Galaxy S23 Ultra in my rotation of devices, and so far it's offering a unique experience that no other phone has ever given me. And that's mainly because this is my first foldable that I actually own. You know, I've briefly held the Galaxy Fold 4 and the Flip, and I think the Pixel Fold has the best form factor of the three. Mainly because the Galaxy Fold's outer screen just felt too narrow to use in my opinion, and the Flip might as well just be a regular phone because that tiny outer screen, it really is kind of useless. The Pixel Fold gives me the width needed on the outer display to feel like a standalone device, and when I actually decide to open it up and use it, it feels like a bonus, like I'm getting extra. Now, before we get too far into my first impressions, let's talk about the elephant in the room, and that's that this Pixel Fold is different. It's different from the rest. It's not your traditional porcelain and it's not obsidian. It's actually a mixture of both, with the obsidian back, with the frosted matte black, and then also the porcelain sides. It's like kind of like a goldish, off-white, off-silver kind of color. And this is actually number 348 of 400. It's a limited group, and Google handpicked the creators and the people out there that would get this phone, and I'm completely blessed and honored to be one of them. And I honestly probably should have seen this theme coming because Google has been honoring the 50 years of hip hop all year. I first realized this when I was invited to Rolling Loud, and the entire Google booth was like hip hopped out. Like they had an entire hip hop experience with like custom album covers. I was able to get my face on the cover of Chronic. Also, they had different historical installments going over like breakdancing and, you know, the origins of hip hop. And I really should have seen that theme coming, but hey, I'm happy it's here. And this was a complete surprise to me. I remember making YouTube 10 plus years ago about the Galaxy Nexus, the Nexus tablets, and just wishing that Google or anyone really out there would recognize me. Viewers, other brands, Samsung, Apple, whoever. I was just hoping that my content was reaching people. And to make it to this point where I've been handpicked, you know, one of 400 people to receive this PR box is a dream come true. It's amazing the fact that Google, or the people that work at Google, or people that Google hired, or, you know, whatever, that they thought, hey, let's send a Pixel Fold out to Courtney, a friend, FilmedByFresh. I think he'd be good with this. Like that's a huge pat on the back. It tells me that I'm doing something right, and that I've impressed the right people out there, and they believe in the content that I produce, which is super dope. How has my experience been with the Pixel Fold so far this week? In short, I love it. If you're a part of my YouTube family, you know that I don't pull any punches when it comes to my opinion on these devices, regardless of the fact of Google sending this to me and it being a cool full circle moment. It's not going to negate the fact that I got to keep it real with you guys. And the Fold is not perfect, and we'll get into the cons a little later, but I have to start with the pros. Like, there's too much of this phone does well not to mention it first. Now, as I mentioned earlier, after using the Pixel Fold, I think the Passport short and wider form factor is the way to go. I think that's why in most of the reviews that I've seen, people are saying that they really enjoy using that outer display. And like I said, I think the Galaxy Fold, when closed, is a little too narrow and tall, and to really give an enjoyable experience and feel like a standalone device, in my opinion. Now, being that the outer display on the Pixel Fold is good enough for almost everything that you need to do outside of media consumption, when you finally decide to open it up and use it to, you know, watch a video or to play Clash of Clans, it feels like a bonus. Like your phone just evolved and you got like an extra phone, like you got a tablet with your phone. It's pretty dope. Something else that I stumbled upon, I also really like this form factor for editing photos in Lightroom. The aspect ratio is perfect for having your controls off to the side while still getting a very clear view of your image. And as time goes on, I'm sure I'll find even more ways to use this phone's inner display, and I'll cover that of course in the full review. But if you plan on getting this device now, and you've already pre-ordered it, or you already even received your pre-order, or your pre-order's pushed out and you put your money down, I would say in order for you to get your money's worth, push yourself to do non-phone things on this device. Whatever you use your tablet for, try to do it on the Pixel Fold. We'll get into my thoughts on the price later, but considering that you can get a tablet, a phone, and a smartwatch for the price of one Pixel Fold, you might as well try to consolidate as many of your use cases into this one device. Now, side note, being that we're talking about form factor and design and all that, I really do like the fact that they were able to engineer this hinge with this zero gap when closed. That's one thing I really didn't like about the Galaxy Fold, that it had that weird gap right there. And I also like the fact that they made the Pixel Fold really thin. You know, of course, as far as foldables are concerned, it's a pretty thin foldable. Now, onto multitasking. I'm not the biggest multitasker, but having the ability to have a couple apps up at the same time is pretty cool. I think it would be even better if you could drag and drop as many things as possible between apps, like, you know, photos or GPS pins for directions, into messages or notes. Right now, it doesn't feel like the two apps that you have up at the same time talk to each other in any way, but it'd be really cool if they did. If they can implement that in the next, you know, version of Android, where all the applications that are up in multitasking pair in some way and they communicate back and forth, so that way it feels like you're getting more out of the multitasking experience. That'd be super dope. With that being said, it is still very useful to be able to have, you know, two apps up at the same time, being able to copy and paste text from back and forth, and especially useful when you run into those social media apps that aren't yet optimized for Android tablet UI, like Instagram and Twitter. And, you know, being able to have the backswipe work on both sides of the screen is really nice. Speaking of software, Google's version of Android is the only one I really enjoy, which is why I'm actually considering selling my Galaxy S23 Ultra. Having stock Android on the Pixel Fold is customized a little bit for the form factor, and I really like the bottom dock. It makes it easier to switch in between apps and also to go straight into split screen multitasking. The dock is super dope. All of the stock Google apps, as expected, use the screen real estate really well. But I wish the same could be said for third-party apps, and that's always the case, right? Third-party developers adopting everything is always the case, especially with first-gen products. And I didn't expect day one adoption from third-party developers, but hopefully now that Google has made, you know, this the standard for the foldable, the Android foldable, more developers will hop on board and start optimizing their apps to, you know, better be utilized with the extra screen real estate and aspect ratio for this particular device. Now on to the cons. So the only real downside, in my opinion, to the Pixel Fold is that it isn't a battery champ that it could have been. Now, I don't think that the battery is bad necessarily, just it's average. And for a phone that is $1,800, average isn't good enough. It's not gonna cut it. Now, I've been averaging about 4.5 hours of screen on time daily, you know, with about 30% left before I go to bed, which isn't too bad. You know, a lot of people work from home nowadays and you always have a charger near you. Like, I have a charging pad on my desk. I just throw it on my desk mat and it charges wirelessly, one by my bed. I'm always near a charger because now that I work from home, I'm always at home. And when I'm in the car, I have Android Auto. I have to plug it in for that. So my car's charging it. So I don't foresee me running this battery into the ground. But where it does become a problem is if you're in a situation where you're away from a charger for a prolonged period of time, you're going on a camping trip, something like that, you're going to have a little bit of battery anxiety and worry about your battery dying on you, especially if you're in a situation where you have poor internet connection and your phone's, you know, kind of cycling through towers. I could see this being a problem in those situations. And for $1,800, that should not be the case. And since we're on the topic of price, let's talk about price. And I am gonna give you a hot take, and I'm not really gonna consider this a con because it's a first generation foldable. And foldables in general are expensive. Back in 2019, when the original Galaxy Fold came out, it came out at like $1,900, or was it $1,980? And even the latest, you know, Fold 4 was starting at $1,800. So that's just the playing field, honestly, for foldables. And I think we expect Google to undercut the competition all the time. I mean, you know, they have popular budget-friendly devices and their flagships are always reasonably priced. Why wouldn't the Fold be reasonably priced? And that's honestly because this isn't a budget device. This isn't even the flagship device. The flagship device, I think, is still the Pro line. And maybe there'll be a Pixel Fold Pro one day or whatever, but I still feel like the foldable category is kind of experimental. A lot of R&D goes into it, and I feel like it's separate. So you're gonna pay extra to be different, and that's just the name of the game with foldables. So be prepared to pay. That's just what it is. Now, with that being said, if you're paying that kind of money, you don't want that many compromises. And the fact that right now there aren't a lot of third-party developers out there adopting this new screen ratio and making their Android apps work with it perfectly, It could use some refinement with software integration, like I said, between this multitasking stuff and how the applications communicate with each other. That'd be dope. And the battery life, those are like the three biggest hindrances of this device right now. Not all of them are to the fault of the device, but with that being said, the only way I was really planning on considering getting this device, because like I said, I wasn't even expecting to get this in the mail. This was a complete shock and surprise to me. So the only way I was planning on buying this, but the only way I was going to buy it is if my carrier was going to be offering a really nice trade-in promo, and it looks like that's the case. I mean, even Verizon is giving out like half off the phone. If you trade in an old ass Pixel 2, you can get $900 off of the Pixel Fold. Same thing with iPhone. If you want to switch from iPhone, you got an old iPhone 7, they'll give you that same discount off of the Pixel Fold. So it's half off, and they give you a free watch if you add a new line. So the deals are out there. So don't complain too much about price. If you want to get a Pixel Fold, you can get a Pixel Fold for a really good price. Half off and a free watch is a really good deal. But overall, to be honest with you, I'm really enjoying my limited time that I've had with the Pixel Fold, and I have high hopes and expectations for what the future of the Pixel Fold will become with the second and third generation. They'll be able to refine, you know, these little quirks right now, and the fact that they're this good with generation 1 is scary for the competition. Like, this is one product that I think has a really bright future and a high ceiling, and with Google focusing on foldables, I think we're all going to be in line for like some really good features coming, and it's going to push forward innovation. And there's finally some competition on the market for the Samsungs, at least in the US. Of course, you have all the other Oppo or whatever, the other foldables that are out there, but those aren't, you know, majorly adopted in the US. So the fact that Google's on board now, we got Samsung on board, the only one we're waiting on is Apple. I think foldables, honestly, are the future. After using the Pixel Fold, going back to my iPhone or to my Galaxy S23, they just feel awkwardly tall and narrow, and I feel like I don't get enough out of them. Having that screen that it turns your phone into a tablet is super dope, and this is an idea that, you know, all of us techie kind of people wished and dreamed of back in the day, like being able to turn your tablet into a phone. Or I remember all the weird concepts that came up before foldables were a thing, and I honestly think that once this product becomes even more so refined, and maybe, you know, a few years down the line when the whole foldable industry is pushed forward, we're gonna have some really dope products. But that's about it for me, guys. Let me know your thoughts down below. Also, I need case suggestions for this Pixel Fold. I need to get some good case ideas. I already have a little micro scratch and it's bugging me. I just noticed it while I was filming this A-roll. I was like, damn, I scratched the hinge a little bit. I'm mad about that. But yeah, send me all the case options. I've looked online. There aren't a lot of options out there, mainly because this is a new device and it's still on back order till like August, I want to say. But send me all the case options. I need case and screen protector suggestions. If any brands out there see this video, send me all the products for the Pixel Fold. Send me all the products for everything. I got all the phones. Send me all the products. But it's been a pleasure as usual, guys. Thank you for watching. And until next time, stay fresh. Peace.